Hello everyone, today we are taking a look at the Meteor75 WalkSnail Edition and the Happy Model MobLite7 WalkSnail Edition. MobLite also has an HDZero edition, and if you're a serious racer, you're probably going to want to go this route because when it comes to whoops, weight's kind of king. But we're going to be mainly sticking to the comparison of two WalkSnail Edition bind flies, the only two, to my knowledge, that are currently available. Not when you're watching this, but when I'm recording this. And for many of you people that are flying whoops and you want the most performance out of it, you're probably just looking at one factor: weight. When everything else, or nearly everything else, is the same, weight. We all know that micros are very sensitive to weight, and if that is the case, then you're looking at the MobLite7 from Happy Model. But there are a few other things I think we have to consider, and there's probably at least one component builders are going to want to look at, especially if you're building an HD Whoop, whether it's WalkSnail Edition or not. We're going to go ahead and weigh them right here, right now, so you don't have to go back and look at my other review videos. By the way, if I didn't mention it already, if you're wanting to look at the flights, all the full details, full blown out review of both of these models, I have those linked down in the video description. Let's start off with the Meteor75 from Beta FPV. As the stock, it has the BT20 connector, which many people like, and we're at 39.5 grams, just a touch over 39.5 grams. Now we're going to weigh the Happy Model MobLite7 WalkSnail Edition, and yes, I do have my print in there to hold the battery, but it still has the G&B connector on it, so that's a little bit different from stock, and I put 3-bladed props on it, so if you go watch the other video, you'll find my weights are a little bit different, but I'm going to compare it how I got it now, because I think this is how it should be. You might want to go with BT20 on there. Go whichever connector you prefer. I just think PH20, we got to move past that when it comes to these HD whoops. And the MobLite7 comes in at just under 35.5 grams, so 4 and a little bit more grams difference. So with those 4 grams, with all else being equal, you know, they're running essentially the same sort of video system, which I think is of the utmost importance when it comes to this comparison. You're probably going to say, well, for most performance, I want to go with this particular model, the MobLite7. Also, this frame is pretty tried and true. We've seen this frame in a number of different iterations. It's very durable. I've used it on DigiWhoops. Oh, my piece just fell out, which you may have seen on the channel. Many people have. Creation of Dax Neal. I will link his shop if you want one of these down in the video description below. I think he's also making WalkSnail editions. I'm going to set this aside for now because it just keeps falling out. So the two things I think you have to consider on the side of non-traditional weight and whoop consideration. One is these motors. I was very surprised at the weight with these motors, with these props on Beta FPV batteries, how efficient they were. Now, granted, I wasn't flying, you know, I wasn't going plaid through the house. I was kind of slow-ish cruising, I guess, for my typical style, but it still went 3 minutes. And it weighs 4 grams more than this one that barely got up to 3 minutes on GNB27. So, if you're a builder, check out these motors from Beta FPV. I sure wish they'd make them in blue, which I know is kind of their brand of color, but, so yeah, these new motors, those are 1102 motors. I'll print the KV on screen. I forget now, but I can't quite make it out, even with the camera zoomed all the way in here. So I think that's one thing the digital builders need to consider. Also, this canopy. Yes, it comes with pieces that we can put on, and it's attractive and kind of fun. They're just going to fall off in flight, so that's kind of shelf sort of stuff to where you can, you know, perch it on the shelf and have the little accessories attached there. They're not going to help you in flight. They're just going to look good when it's sitting on the shelf. And if you don't take them off before you go flying, they'll probably end up stuck between a couch cushion or underneath another piece of furniture and gone forever. Maybe a family pet will snatch it up. But to give them credit, there are some things that they did intentionally with their design that I just don't think we see with the Happy Model version. Happy Model was very ingenious in reusing a lot of known parts to make the MobLite7 WalkSnail edition. Beta FPV went the extra mile to make some intentional decisions. And the first one is this canopy. They've designed the canopy so that the WalkSnail board has separation between the flight controller and itself. It secures up into the canopy, and then the flight controller secures down. That's, to me, an intentional decision and a very wise one. Whereas on something like this, you may have some concerns that the boards could come in contact, possibly. Maybe not. But it's just less intentional. This entire stack is much more traditional, whereas this one is definitely going to keep the two boards that we have in our Whoop separated and safe. Also, the antenna design on this seems to be very intentional. It's secured down. And that is really important, because if you go tumbling through a tree or you somehow snag this antenna in something and it worked to be secured down, it pulls on the UFL, and we've seen it a lot on pictures on Facebook and various other locations. You pull on that UFL too hard, the connector on the board comes off, and that is a very challenging repair. I have tried, and I have not succeeded. I know some of you have, but I have not. But of course, I think I've only tried twice on HD VTXs. I think both of them HDZeros. But the counterpart here on the Mob7 Lite is that, you know, the antenna is just kind of on there. They used a light antenna, something to keep the weight down. I guess the one redeeming factor you can give it is that it's right up front here, so it's very, very apparent that you should be able to see whether it's connected or not, and you should be able to identify its damage. Look at that screw. I don't think that screw's quite down all the way, is it? Nope, it certainly isn't. Need a couple more turns there. Also, I guess you could say the canopy on this one broke. Canopy on this one didn't break, but if you go back to the original review videos, you'll find I flew this one much more aggressively. And I actually, because, well, for me, I was flying this one and having more fun, so I tried some speed runs, which meant some extra impact in my crashing. So maybe not an apples to apples comparison there, but I thought I should draw those couple design things that are intentional in the Beta FPV product, whereas Happy Model went the ingenious route of making known parts just work to make a lighter, in my opinion, a higher performing WalkSnail Whoop. So that's really it when it comes down to your comparison. Do you want to have to change out the connector on this to actually maximize its performance, whereas this one already has a pretty popular connector on it? I guess that's something else I could have mentioned. I kind of forgot that I had changed out the connector because HDZero gave me so many fits in getting reasonable flight time and performance on the MobLite7. I did pass that information on to Happy Model. Future iterations, you might check or query to Happy Model and see. Maybe they'll change out the connector on their own instead of us having to do it. That might be a bonus. It might not. Depends on how many HDZero batteries you have and you would plan to fly for something like this. I guess the last part is to just say it outright. If I had to choose between these two, which one do I get? And for me, it's the MobLite7. You've seen how I like to fly. It just suits me better. I appreciate the smoother, cruisy flight of this, but I can't go fast and be comfortable because of the weight on this one. So therefore, I've got to go with the Happy Model MobLite7 WalkSnail Edition. But when it really comes down to what I want when it comes to flight performance, I go back to the HDZero version of all this. Yeah, they used a different frame. And I did put a BT20 on there because I got some new batteries to try out. The WeBleed FPV. I don't know if I'll make a video about that. But check out WeBleed FPV. You probably can't get these batteries. Infinity Loop's already posted a video, and I'm sure they're all gone. Because it seems to be the WeBleed FPV BT20 450s pretty dang good. But I'll go ahead and link WeBleed FPV down below. By the way, I got something else to show you. I don't know how well this is coming through on camera. But I think these are like 4 foot. It ends right up here. Oh, God. Whoop. It's got this neat little tripod. I really like these things. They're not free. They're not cheap. But it just kind of adds something to my experience. I can quickly get out and I can keep it. It charges via USB right down here, and it's got all the programming and everything. So no extra remote to keep track of or anything. And it's almost like a lightsaber. And again, it's got this little tripod foot, so you can just set it down. And it adds a little flair to your flying experience. I got 2 of them. The other one's right over here. Let me turn this one on. I left this one on default. Didn't change its colors. So it should rotate through. Anyways, I wanted to show you guys these. I think they're really cool. And even though I just set them at the edges of the doorways and stuff like that, for me, it added a little bit more pleasure. They're $49 a piece. You might be able to buy them somewhere else on your own. Let me get the little instruction manual out here. Luxio seems to be the company. So if you want to try to source them yourself. I'm sure Zotek wouldn't care, but he's got them there for you. Zotek and WeBleed FPV, he's just like me, got a day job. He loves micros and whoops, and he started a shop because he wants everybody to have good stuff, so he's trying to make good stuff. He's not trying to turn this into his new job or new category of income or anything like that. He just likes whoops and he likes flying, so go to WeBleedFPV.com. By the way, if you're watching this still, I've got a special treat for you. Down in the video description, there's a link that says form. I've got 3 gift cards to WeBleedFPV.com for $50 each. And fill out that form, and I'll do a random drawing. It will require your email address because that's how I'll let you know. And I'll send you the code for the $50 in your email, and bingo bango, then you could go buy one of these and then pay for shipping. If you're outside the US, I'm just not sure about shipping. $50 might not get us much if you're a long ways outside of US and shipping costs, so you might want to go over to WeBleedFPV.com before you put the form in for the raffle for the $50 gift cards, and just see what shipping from WeBleedFPV will cost to get to your location, because it sure would be a shame for $50 to just get eaten by shipping. I'm not against you doing whatever you want with your winnings, but hopefully we've got a nice little community here that will be hyper aware of where the winnings go to. But anyways, I need to wrap up. I've gotten long-winded here at the end. For me, MobLite7 WalkSnail Edition. If I really want performance, HDZero. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, or otherwise, please let me know in the comment section below. I appreciate your time. Thanks for watching. What do you think? Is that too distracting back there? I just like those things. Maybe. Let me know what you think of the light sitting back there. I might use them.